Ruby James from the GYST Method, along here with
Nicole Gerard, also from the GYST Method.
And today we want to record for you our thoughts as a follow-up to the last episode. And in that episode we were talking about toxic cultures and what they're all about and how they work. And what seemed to be the most natural thing is, so you're looking for a new job. And you're contemplating a place to go, and we have a very structured, specific way to help you look at that. So, really, if you go back, there's this really famous business author. Some of you may have heard him. His name is Jim Collins. He's sold millions of books, all over the New York Times bestseller list for years and years. And I had the pleasure of meeting and working with him a little at a company I was at. And there Jim introduced to us an idea about having a fulfilling life. And in it, he described 3 circles. One of them is, what are you really good at? The second one is, what do you love to do? And the third one was, what's going to make you enough money for the life that you want? That's nice. There's a Japanese idea that's similar to this, but actually gets a little more robust, and it's a little more philosophical. And that's called the Ikigai. And Ikigai has 3 of those same circles. What do you love? What are you really good at? And what's going to make you enough money? But then the 4th circle they add is, what does the world need? And I think in terms of life purpose, it's a great way to think about it. However, when you're looking for a job, you might want to swap out that 4th circle from Ikigai and insert something else.
Which is?
The culture of the company you're looking at. Because if you're not a good fit for that culture, you're about to enter into a world of pain that may last longer than a prison sentence, if you're not careful. So I've got thoughts on that kind of a thing. What's your reaction to that idea?
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think in following up to the last episode where we talked about the toxic culture versus the toxic boss, who are people leaving, what's the effect on one to the other, I think it makes a lot of sense that what you want to do when you're looking for a new position is you understand, like you said, what am I getting into?
Right.
But the big question is that a lot of people have is, how can I tell?
Precisely.
Now, I have a few tips and tricks that you can use to leverage tech to find out how you can tell. But I want to throw back to Kirby, to you, and explain the circles and how that actually overlays to see how you can identify what's to stay away from and what to go running towards.
Absolutely. And I'm actually going to use a very close personal example. My brother was looking for a new job. And he is truly a masterful salesperson. It's what he loves to do. He's great at relationships. He enjoys the travel, the socializing, and he also loves helping to solve people's problems. And he works in the high-tech field, and so the things he sells are immensely expensive, but wow, do they do the job. And those 3 circles were really, he's got a good grip on that. And then one day he comes to me with a conundrum, which is he's got 2 interested parties wanting to hire him.
Nice.
Great problem to have, right? And his question to me was, how do you tell? And I said, well, what are the cultures like? And like a lot of our listeners, he doesn't look at culture the way you and I do. He has, a more colloquial, like everyday, like culture? What do you mean by culture?
What's the reputation online? What do people say?
And a lot of that stuff, and an organization that we do business with, Human Synergistics, they actually refer to that as climate, not culture.
Fair.
Which is, sort of like what's going on here as opposed to who are we. So I said, well, tell me about the first outfit. And the first outfit, the first words out of his mouth were, they're really great, but. The but always tells you everything. Right? Because it's what happens after the but. And they had almost a paranoid security phraseology in their contract. And it basically said, we can monitor you anywhere, anytime. And not even just when you're using our business assets, but period, because we're worried about the reputation of the company, blah, blah, blah. And he's looking at this as like, this violates my core values, my sense, like, no, you don't have the right to do this. And so I said, okay, well, tell me about the other business. And he's like, oh man, they're my people. And on the one hand, he was looking at more money, but on the other hand, he was looking at a better fit. And it's like, really?
Which is interesting because a lot of people tend to settle for the larger paycheck as opposed to the right fit. And in my experience, I don't know about yours, that lasts about 18 months. Your tolerance level for bullshit and misalignment,
the tolerance.
The paycheck does not justify it.
There's another thing that happens a lot people don't think about. So let's say there's even 20% more pay. Mm-hmm. How much of that do they take out of your soul? How much do they carve out of your heart? Because I'm going to work and I don't like these people. I don't like the way they do it. And now you're, quote, trapped in this way of thinking, but you're trapped inside, you feel, this business because it's like, I got bills to pay, I've got this, I've got that. Mm-hmm. And now that other job's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. And now the idea of screwing yourself up to go search again, concerned that this might happen again.
Yep.
And a lot of people think, oh, it's bad bosses. But as we talked about in the last episode, it's the structure. It's the culture.
And no amount of money, your 3 to 4% raise, position bump, you get an extra 5 on the top line. That's not what you're taking home.
No.
That doesn't, like you get, and research has proven this out, that when you do get a significant bump in pay at an organization, the high only lasts for a short while. Yep. And then the reality of the situation comes in and you start to think like, oh, okay, I have an extra $800 a month at the end of the day, but is it really actually worth sacrificing my day-to-day, my mental health, my happiness? Like, it's not.
Well, I had a client call me the other day, banking executive, offered a very notable promotion. Mm-hmm. And along with it came almost no pay increase. And they're talking to me, is like, what do I do with this? And to me, the question I went to, I jumped over all the obvious ones, and I went to the end. Do you like working there? Yes. Do you like the people? Yes. Then you're in a position where negotiation is possible.
Yeah.
If you're in a place you don't like, you don't want to stay, well then, quite frankly, extract the value you can as you look for another job.
And get out.
Because there's just nothing for it.
Okay, so walk us back to, but before I give input on how you can actually research the kind of culture an organization has, let's come back to the Ikigai and the circles and how that can be applied for individuals when they're assessing an organization.
Absolutely. So Ikigai, when we get to our episode about life and you know, getting your shit together around that side of things, we'll come back to Ikigai because to me, I haven't found anything better in all the years I've been teaching and coaching. There's nothing better.
Yeah, it's good.
To simplify where you can get, because they do all these really cool overlap zones. It's amazing. We can spend an hour just on that diagram. But coming back to this, I think the examples I've given you, like, speak to the purpose. They know what they're really good at. You know, you, as you're looking for a job, really spend the time on that first circle. What are you really good at? And I think a lot of us, there's either true modesty, false modesty, or quite frankly, you know, it scares us to say, yeah, actually I'm really good at that. Get over it. Because the more you can just declare how good you are at something, it's easier now to look at what you're doing, what you want to do, and see if they line up. Yeah. So that's number one. Number two, what do you love? I think here it's important to be well anchored in not just what you like doing. So my brother likes the socializing, but what he loves doing is he loves solving problems. Like, loves it. Like, he gets as much of a high off of seeing a client buy this like crazy expensive piece of technology, and then not only that, they apply it and they're just on the phone just like, this is the best. and he's just like, yes, I knew it. And there you go, bingo. Yep. It's not just what you love to do, it's what you love to create. Okay, thanks Robert Fritz for that. And so that what you love to create. The third one about what's enough money, there's nothing wrong with being aspirational.
Of course.
If 100,000 makes you happy, good for you. If $250,000 is really what you think would do it, wonderful. The watch out here is not to confuse what I love with money. And another client was working with him quite closely, And in a workshop, he came up to me partway through and he said, Kirby, I'm stuck. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, you were doing these circles and I thought what I loved was making lots of money. But now I've actually made all the money I ever wanted to make.
And I'm not happy.
And I'm
What's
not,
wrong?
what the heck? And it's just like,
Yeah.
because money is a means to an end.
Yeah, it's a tool.
It's a tool. It enables things that you want to do. It's not a result in and of itself.
Yeah.
Anybody who's made that much money always knows that.
Mm-hmm.
They come to it in the end, if
Yeah.
only on their deathbed. So that's, be honest with yourself. How much are you really looking for? It's $1 million? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All that does is impact your choices.
Yes.
Right? And then when you come to looking for a job,
Mm-hmm.
if you picked $1 million, that gets tougher. Trying to find the jobs that pay $1 million
course.
bucks. But I'm not saying it can't be done.
Yeah.
The real big thing is then now when you go to look at culture, get you to talk about the digital search you have to do.
Yeah.
There's an old school way of going about doing it, which is really quite simple, which is talk to the people who work there.
Oh, yeah.
Or the people who used to work there.
Yeah. Used to, within recent, like a year,
Yeah.
better picture.
Much better picture.
Yeah.
And it's really, for me, it crops up in the job interview. So
Yes.
we're going to come to the research you need to do before you get to this question.
Yeah.
The questions you really want to ask, at that point in the job interview when they say to you, hey, do you have any questions?
The answer is always yes.
And that's where you drop in. You can drop in operational questions. How much money do you provide for personal development?
True.
Yeah. Look, it matters more that you understand the culture than those other things. Because those things should pretty much fall out of the interview process. But you really want to know about culture. And my advice is this. Pick questions based on the research Nicole's going to help you with. And then ask the question. And when you ask the question, look the lead interviewer dead straight in the eyes.
And stop talking.
And watch what they do.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a lot of blinking, if their lips start to disappear, if they're looking anywhere except in your eyes,
Fidgeting.
then you know what you're about to get is probably crap
Yeah.
or a veneer.
Yeah.
And then after that happens, watch the faces and the expressions on the other people as they answer.
Mm-hmm.
And that will tell you everything you need to know about the culture right there in that moment, because it's like they're telling the truth and other people are doing one of these.
Yeah.
No. They're telling the truth and the other people are going, oh, can't believe you actually said that. Well, okay, that's interesting too. There's so much to be learned at that point of the interview because you have an opportunity to read the expressions of other people.
Yeah, and I think that's actually an important point to make. So a lot of people get really nervous and feel like they shouldn't ask questions because you're there asking for something. You're there asking for a job,
Right.
a livelihood, money. That's why we go to work. So people oftentimes feel uncomfortable to ask questions, which is why they often Google what to ask in an interview. And they have 5 questions that everybody else has asked, and they feel like, okay, I'm supposed to ask questions, therefore I'm asking questions, I've checked it off. Don't do that.
No.
That's
No.
not going to tell you anything. They need you.
And it's not going to differentiate you.
No, it is absolutely not. And something we are going to talk about in another episode, the organization needs you as much as you need them.
True.
Especially prior to being hired. That's where all your leverage is. That's where you get to make sure of the decision that you're making. You get to make an informed decision. Now, I understand we've all been in a position where maybe you were laid off and things are tight and you need something now and this is here and okay, I'm going to grab onto it. And it's hard to come to the realization that there's opportunity everywhere.
Yes.
Especially with the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Take it from someone that came from a town of 3,000 people in the middle of nowhere. There is opportunity everywhere. You just need to look. So making hasty decisions can actually set you back as opposed to helping you in the short term.
And a point on that, on the flip side, I have seen more people in the last few years quit jobs
Yeah.
with nowhere to go
Yes.
rather than stay.
Yeah, they rage quit.
Yeah, they just, I can't and won't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And all of the people that I know have done this have come up and they're doing so well.
Absolutely, and that actually goes back to a point that you made earlier where the price tag associated with your role, from the outside looking in, everyone might think, oh, you've got this wonderful title, you've got all of this perceived, like you've got a great income, like and you just quit, I can't believe you quit, when meanwhile you're dying inside because things don't match. So that's going to bring me to what you need to do before you even get into the interview.
Right.
To find out what kind of organization it is. Is this a place that you would actually enjoy working at? And you have to be honest with yourself. And what I recommend doing is leveraging social media.
Absolutely.
And what I also recommend is you not only go on LinkedIn and pull up who's currently working there or recently left, and you can see this in LinkedIn. You can find out who works there or has. And you then go and you start to research Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, anywhere they might have a social media presence. Facebook's the best one because most of us have it. And what you're looking for is their normal behavior, the way they normally speak, the way they interact with others online, the types of information that they post or share. Posting and sharing like articles, etc., that's one thing. But it's the comments that they're making. Are they positive? Are they negative? Are they complaining all the time? What type of activities are they, like, they're going to do this for you. They're going to research you, so just know that.
Oh, absolutely.
You need to research them. What you're looking for is a trend. If you find that, say, the top 10 people that work in the organization, management, leadership, etc., and primarily the presence online is negative, it's complaining a lot, it's, mountains out of molehills, you can see this behavior. If you see that as an underlying thread for all the different people that are working there, you can pretty much guarantee that culture, the underlying culture, supports that. Because they would not be in that organization, like we talked about before, if the organization didn't let them stay.
And the flip side of that is when you're reading the commentary and watching the footprint of the people who have left, it's also possible that they left because they didn't fit a place.
Absolutely.
Right? And they're actually the people you wouldn't want to work with.
Yeah, and
so
they're sick and tired when they go.
Yeah, and it cuts both ways.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So that's my number one recommendation when you're doing research. It's more than just going on the company website. It's more than just looking at their, performance. If it's a public company, looking at their pro forma. Look at the people, because it's the people that make up the organization. And the way we are in our personal life comes out at work at some point.
Well, this is no different than looking at product or service reviews on Amazon or
100%.
Home Stars or somewhere like that.
Yep.
If one person here and there says something quite negative, it's probably something went wrong once or twice. If the consistent pattern is crap, well,
you can pretty much figure out that, okay, this isn't for me.
And that's where there are websites that help direct people to that kind of information too.
Yes, exactly. So there's the organizational review. Like, it does talk about management as well. We all know about Glassdoor and Indeed. We've talked in private conversations about the importance of understanding what people are saying about your organization, like your brand and the image people have. Those reviews matter. The organizations that ignore the response and feedback on things like Glassdoor and Indeed are missing out. Period.
Oh, absolutely.
Period.
And what I find fascinating, and I think Amazon is the one I've seen this the most, and actually even software, like within the app stores, you can see people post negative comments, and the really good outfits will come back
and reply.
And they'll say, wow, didn't know, can we continue this conversation? And they seek a resolution.
Precisely.
That tells you a ton about the culture.
Yes.
Because they're focused on their reputation and customer satisfaction. Doesn't tell you what it's like to work there.
No, but it gives you some indication that at least there's an effort somewhere by someone. So I think the biggest takeaway for this particular episode is that the organization that you're looking to work with, the people that you're looking to work with, you can tell a lot by the activities online, the things that you read, the things that you see for yourself, not anecdotally. Like, look for yourself. And really be careful about the decisions you make on where you decide to go in for the interview. you decide that you might want to join. You're the one that's deciding to give up your time for an agreed amount of money.
Yes. So a couple of last comments on this. Number one, this has worked for me and for many people that I know. When you get called for your interview, always try to be first or last.
Fair.
Getting buried in the middle is tough.
Yeah.
So if there's 5, 10, 15 people going in for interviews, you want to be first. And if you can't be first, tell them you got a conflict and that you try to set it up. So when are your interviews ending? Oh, I'll take the last one.
Yeah.
Because then you're most memorable in their mind.
Yeah.
That's one thing.
That's true.
The other thing is exactly what you said, Nicole. At the end of the day, you're free to choose to get into a relationship with this employer.
Mm-hmm.
And going in eyes wide open,
Yeah.
and going in armed with the best data you can get is
Mm-hmm.
the best you can do. And our hope from this today is that we're able to help you a little bit to get an insight into just how important the culture fit is when you go looking for a new position.
Yeah.
So, thanks very much for watching. I'm Kirby James, and this is
I'm Nicole Gerard.
Write to Us. Send us a note, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you.